Ron and Ginny both laughed, although Hermione didn't. Mom found this stack of order forms when she was cleaning Fred and George's room, said Ron quietly. Read loud a price list for stuff they've invented. Joke stuff, you know. Fake ones and trick suites, a lot of stuff. It was brilliant. I never knew they'd been inventing all that. We've been hearing explosions out of their room for ages, but we never thought they were actually making things, said Ginny without they just liked the noise. Only most of the stuff will, all of it really was a bit dangerous, said Ron, and you know they were planning to sell it all Hogwarts to make some money, and Mom went mad at them, told them they weren't allowed to make any more of it, and burned all the order forms. She's furious at them anyway.
Were ordinary wizarding levels. The examination Hogwarts students took at the age of 15. And then there was this big row. Ginny said, because Mom wants them to go into the Ministry of Magic like that. And they told her all they want to do is open a joke shop. Just then, a door on the second landing opened, and a face poked out wearing horn-rimmed glasses and a very annoyed expression. "Hi, Percy," said Harry. "Oh, hello, Harry," said Percy. "I was wondering who was making all the noise. I'm trying to work in here, you know. I got a report to finish for the office, and it is rather difficult to concentrate when people keep thundering up and down the stairs." "We are not thundering," said Ron irritably. "We're walking. Sorry, I were disturbed the top secret working of the Ministry of Magic." "What are you working on?" said Harry. "A report for the Department of International Magic Cooperation," said Percy smartly. "We are trying to standardize cauldron thickness. Some of their foreign imports just of shade to them. Lakex have been increasing at a rate of almost 3% a year. That'll change the world. That report will," said Ron. "Front page of the Daily Prophet. I accept cauldron legs." Percy went
Might sneer Ron, he said heatedly, but unless some sort of international law is enforced, we might well find the market flooded with flimsy, shallow, bottomed products which seriously endanger. Yeah, all right," said Ron, and he started off upstairs again. Percy slammed his bedroom door shut. As Harry, Hermione, and Ginny followed Ron up 3 more flights of stairs, shouts from the kitchen below echoed amid them. It sounded as though Mr. Weasley had told Mrs. Weasley about that office.
The room at the top of the house, where Ron slept, looked much as it had done the last time the Harry had come to stay. The same posters of Ron's favorite Quidditch team, the Chadley Cannons, were wailing and waving on the walls and sloping ceiling. In the fish tank on the window sill, which had previously held frog spawn, now contained one extremely large frog. Ron's old red Scribbers was where no more, but instead there was the teeny grey owl that had delivered Ron's letter to Harry in Private Drive. It was hopping up and down in a small cage and twittering madly. "Shut up, pig," said Ron and Jean, his way between two of the four beds that had been squeezed into the room. "Fred and George are in here with us because Bill and Charlie are in their room," he told Harry. "Percy gets to keep his room all to himself because he's got to work." Why are you calling that old pig?" Harry asked Ron. "Because he's being stupid," said Ginny. "Its proper name is Penguin." "Yeah, and that's not a stupid name at all," said Ron sarcastically. "Ginny named him," he explained to Harry. "She reckons it's sweet, and I tried to change it, but it was too late. He won't answer to anything else. So now he's pig. I've got to keep him up here because he annoys Errol and Hermione. He annoys me too, come to that."
Happily around his cage, hooting shrilly. Harry knew Ron too well to take him seriously. He had moaned continually about his old red scabbers, but had been most upset when Hermione's cat Crookshanks appeared to have eaten him. "Where's Crookshanks?" Harry asked Hermione now. "Out in the garden, I expect," she said. "He likes chasing gnomes. He's never seen any before." "Percy's enjoy works when," said Harry, sitting down on one of the beds and watching the Chudley cannon zooming in and out of the poster on the ceiling. "Enjoy it?" said Ron darkly. "I don't rag on he'd come home in that didn't make him. His obsessites don't get him onto the subject of his boss. According to Mr. Crouch, as I was saying to Mr. Crouch in of the opinion, Mr. Crouch was telling me they'll be announcing their engagement any day now." "Have you had a good summer, Harry?" said Hermione. "Did you get our food parcel and enjoy everything?" "Yes, thanks you a lot," said Harry. "They saved my life clock's cakes." "And have you heard from?" Ron began, but at a look from Hermione he felt silly. Harry knew Ron had been about to ask about Sirius. Ron and Hermione had been so deeply involved in helping Sirius escape from the Ministry of Magic that they were almost as concerned about Harry's godfather, and he was. However, discussing him in form of journey was a bad idea. Nobody but themselves and Professor Dumbledore knew about how Sirius had escaped or believed in his innocence.
"I think they've stopped arguing," said Hermione, to cover the awkward moment because Ginny was looking curiously from Ron to Harry. "Shall we go down and help your mom with dinner?" "Yeah, all right," said Ron. The four of them left Ron's room and went back downstairs to find Mrs. Weasley alone in the kitchen, looking extremely bad-tempered. "We are eating out in the garden," she said when they came in. "There's just not room for 11 people in here." "Could you take the plates outside, girl? Bill and Charlie are sitting at the table. Knife and forks, please, you too," she said to Ron and Harry, pointing her wand a little more vigorously than she had intended. A pile of potatoes in the sink, which shot out of their skins so fast that they ricocheted off the walls and ceilings. Oh, for heaven's sake, she snapped, now directing her wand at a dustpan, which hopped off the side and started skating across the floor, scooping up the potatoes. Those two, she burst out savagely, now pulling pots and pans out of the cupboard, and Harry knew she meant Fred and George. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I really don't. No ambitious, unless to count making as much trouble as they possibly can. She slammed a large copper saucepan down on the kitchen table and began to wave her wand around inside it. A creamy sauce poured from the wand tips as she stirred. It's not as though they haven't got brains, she continued irritably, taking the saucepan out of the stove and lighting it with the first poke of her wand. But they're wasting them, and unless they pull themselves together soon, they'll be in real trouble. I've had more owls from Hogwarts about them than the rest put together. If they carry on the way they are going, they end up in front of the improper use of magic office.